For our project, we decided to look into KFC on the global aspect instead of just thinking about KFC in the United States. We have focused on KFC's expansion to different countries around the world. We will be talking about KFC's expansion to China, South Africa, and Japan. Based upon our research, KFC has expanded to many different countries around the world over the years to expand business, and with that, there are many adaptations that have to be made when expanding to a new area. Moving on to KFC's expansion to China. In 1987, the first Chinese KFC opened in Tiananmen Square when fast food restaurants were not very common in China. These were the type of places residents with extra money would go to for a special occasion or would visit very seldomly. Many people did not like the menu at first because it was something new and they wanted items more relatable to their specific area. So KFC had to add in more regional menu items. Some of the things you would see on a Chinese menu include spicy chicken, rice dishes, egg tarts, fish and shrimp burgers, and more. The average menu in China contains about 50 items compared to in the US, which contains about 29 items. Another problem with KFC in China was the complaints about the spice levels in different regions. Customers in Shanghai complained the recipes were too spicy, while customers in other regions complained the recipes were too bland. They also had to adapt the restaurant from being viewed as a fast food chain to more of a restaurant-style KFC. With the different menu and different style of restaurant means more preparing for the employees. So the average KFC in China employs about 2 times as many as the average KFC in the US. With all the changes that had to be made, business is now prospering in China and KFC has hundreds of operating.
When expanding to Africa, KFC had to face several challenges in order to become successful. Most of the challenges that they faced were financial challenges. For example, importing food over was quite pricey. KFC had to make sure that the amount they wanted to bring was affordable and also the amount they brought was enough to start a business with. Another challenge they had to face was the cost of appliances. So refrigerators in Africa were way more expensive than they are here in the US. And running out of food was a scare for them because importing food was so expensive. They weren't able to bring a lot of certain items, so they had to make sure that they weren't selling too much too quickly. Other restaurant chains did not want to deal with the challenges, so they did not expand to Africa, but KFC was able to overcome them, and they are now quite successful. They have over 1,000 restaurants opened, and they are the biggest chain in Africa right now. KFC is also very successful in the month of October, which is World Hunger Relief Month. And during this month, they take the sign of Colonel Sanders down and they put up a sign of a smiling child, which is there to advertise for the Add Hope charity. KFC gets a lot of positive reactions towards the changing of their sign during this month. The Add Hope charity is a charity that helps raise money to end hunger. So for every $1 donated, it can help feed up to 4 children. Since its launch in 2009, Add Hope has raised over $183 million towards feeding hungry children. And KFC's goal is to raise $2 million during the month of October from its customers to continue spreading hope. Because of all the positive reactions toward KFC, the company is able to keep opening new restaurants all over Africa.
Searched for new and diverse challenges and opportunities. Brown wanted to expand Kentucky Fried Chicken overseas because of all of the opportunities. But there was one challenge. Food preferences differed with each country. Another challenge was finding someone in the company that was capable enough to endure the challenging assignment. Brown soon chose his best candidate, Lloyd Weston. Kentucky Fried Chicken started off bad in Japan, so all Weston had to do was make it work. Advertising increasingly deviated from KFC themes, and to accommodate smaller Japanese appetites, many barrels with 12 rather than U.S. standard 21 pieces of were introduced. This just shows how Kentucky Fried Chicken was constantly adapting to new and different markets. Even with a rocky start in Japan, leadership had to adapt to new and different markets. Although there was many challenges, new strategies were created and business began to increase. Weston showed how to build a foreign division run from the floor up. With sensitivity and an entrepreneurial spark, Kentucky Fried Chicken had the ability to build a fast food empire. Upper management quickly adapted to the new market, and so they brought different and exciting items and ideas to the menu. With Michael Miles in control, Kentucky Fried Chicken was able to reach their full potential and maximize profits. He did a really great job in training the country managers, which helped build the KFC empire. Japan it still is one of the most successful places to have Kentucky Fried Chicken.
All right, I'm here with Max Zettler, a student at University of Kentucky, and talk to him about some questions about KFC. So, Max, how do you think KFC in other countries differs from the normal KFC in the United States?
I would imagine that the menu would differ based on where you were in the world. I would think that KFCs in other countries would want to cater more towards the preferences of the people wherever they are. So, I don't know, for instance, like in India, it's probably a little more spicy, or in Asia, it's probably more spicy than it is here in the U.S.
Okay. Do you think KFC would taste better in other countries or not taste as good?
I think whether or not it tastes good is relative to where you live, what you grew up eating. So for me, I think American KFC probably would taste the best. But if you ask someone from another country, they may think that their home country's KFC tastes the best. So I think it depends on where you grew up.
How do you think people will view KFC in different countries?
I would think that they would view KFC as more of a treat than we would here, because it's, I would imagine, more accessible to Americans. So I would think it's more of a treat for them to go out and eat KFC.
Would you rather KFC be how it is in the U.S. as far as like a carry-out fast food place, or kind of how it is in different countries where it's like more of a restaurant style?
I definitely think KFC is better as a carry-out place. I like to get the KFC fast. That's kind of why you go there. It's more of a fast food restaurant, so I think it's fine the way it is here.
How do you think KFC could be improved in America?
I don't know. Maybe they could even improve the quality of meat that they give out. Sometimes their chicken is low quality, or sometimes their food isn't as hot as it necessarily should be. So they could just improve service a little bit.
When you were growing up, did you frequently visit KFC or no?
I did when I was younger, because we lived close to a KFC. Then I moved away from a KFC. We didn't have one very close, so I grew up eating it a little bit, but not too much.
So I'm a roommate. We live at the Wyatt, and I'm just gonna let Parth introduce himself and tell you a little about like where he lives, part of his life.
Hey, I'm from Chicago, Illinois. My parents are from India. I'm from a part called Gujarat. I've been there multiple times. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions about KFC. How do you think KFC in other countries, or in your case, India, differs from normal KFC?
I'm pretty sure they're like most of the same. They might have like little cultural food differences. They might have like different things on the menu that are like specific for that region. But other than that, it should be the same because it's a franchise chain. They have the same model.
Okay, next question. Do you think KFC tastes better in India, or do you think it doesn't taste as good?
It probably tastes better here because, Kentucky Fried Chicken's from Kentucky. So the chicken would probably be better tasting here.
Okay, next question. How do you think people view KFC differently in other countries, or in your case, India?
I just think it's been very popularized by social media and other factors like through the news. Everyone knows what KFC is, and they just think of it as like they instantly connect it to American culture and obesity rates, and especially Kentucky in general.
Okay, next question. How do you think KFC could be improved in America?
As long as their chicks are healthy and raised and they're not abused, then that'd be as good as I can ask for. And make sure all the chickens are um, clean and there's no chemicals or pesticides in any of their food.
Okay, okay. Next question. Growing up, did you frequently visit KFC or were you like not into that? Like when you were in, if you ever visited India, did you ever go to KFC?
Yeah, every now and then as a kid, but in India I went once. Once it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but it's still nothing compared to KFC here.
Okay. Um, how do you think the quality of KFC food is?
It's all right, but what can you really ask for like a fast food joint? So I mean, it's pretty good.
Okay. Next, how big of a role do you think Colonel Sanders played in the company?
I feel like he's just the ideal figure, and he doesn't really do anything. It's just like a figurehead, and the business behind it is pretty successful.
Okay. Um, Next question. Even though he passed away, how does Colonel Sanders still influence the company?
As that same high figure that everyone looks up to, he's just like the brand. As like in the NBA, you just go straight to LeBron. He's like the brand of KFC.